This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, January 9th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
I'm Jim Roope in Los Angeles.
It looks like a war zone up here.
A half dozen wildfires burn, including the most destructive wildfire in the history of Los Angeles.
Donald Trump is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to halt proceedings in his New York criminal hush money case. Julie Walker, New York.
The world reacting to President-elect Trump's recent comments surrounding Greenland and the Panama Canal. I'm Clayton Neville.
Ex-FBI informant who lied about the Bidens taking a bribe is heading to prison.
On Wall Street, it's quiet. The markets are closed for the National Day of Mourning for former President Jimmy Carter. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
The Justice Department says it will release only part of Special Counsel Jack Smith's report on Donald Trump. Sagar Magani, Washington.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Extreme weather across the U.S. Over a dozen southern states are under winter weather watches and advisories. 6 to 8 inches of snow is expected from southeast Oklahoma to western North Carolina. In the West, the death toll is growing and more than 1,000 homes have been destroyed in what is now the most destructive fire in the history of Los Angeles. Our Jim Roope reports all fires remain out of control and a lack of water and firefighters and hurricane-force winds are only making matters worse.
There are no less than a half dozen fires burning in L.A. County, the largest, the historically destructive so-called Palisades fire. It ignited Tuesday morning. It scorched more than 15,000 acres, nearly 16,000 acres at this point. More than 1,000 homes destroyed, countless others damaged. The second largest fire in this event, the so-called Eaton fire. It started Tuesday evening, burning near Pasadena. Well more than 100 homes or businesses destroyed, countless more damaged. In this fire, 5 fatalities, with many injuries of various degrees in all the fires. Authorities say the deaths and most injuries were suffered by civilians who did not evacuate when told. Late Tuesday, early yesterday, a fire ignited in Sylmar, about 20 miles north of the city of L.A., known as the Hearst Fire. It's holding at about 500 acres at the filing of this report. Also yesterday morning, the Woodley Fire started in the Sepulveda Basin on the west side of L.A., Then later yesterday, the Lydia fire ignited in Acton, north of the city of L.A., also, though, in L.A. County, and a fire started north of Malibu near the Ventura County border. All these fires pushed by extreme winds, and because of the winds, firefighting aircraft was grounded. The fire was free to destroy.
It looks like a war zone up here.
You're just praying that your house is still there.
For many, their homes were gone. These are urban wildfires. That comes with challenges, among them water supply.
All of the fire hydrants went dry in the Palisades.
Janice Quinones, CEO and chief engineer of the L.A. Department of Water and Power, says they ran out of water in Pacific Palisades. There are 3 tanks serving the area, each holding 1 million gallons of water that is used for washing, drinking, cooking. Residents trying to water their properties as the fire grew. And around 4:45 Tuesday afternoon, the first tank went dry. About 8:30, the second 1 million-gallon tank tapped out, and about 3 yesterday morning, the third tank dried up. It took time, because of the dangers, to get water back to those tanks. But going forward, Quinones says, a big question needs to be answered.
How are we going to change the way we operate our water systems for events like this?
And with all disasters, you hope for honesty and transparency from officials, but there might be some things better left unsaid.
LA County and all 29 fire departments in our county are not prepared for this type of widespread disaster.
L.A. County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney says they were prepared to fight 1 or even 2 wildfires simultaneously, but not 4, as was the case at the time of this press conference. He says
there are not enough firefighters in L.A. County.
That'll be addressed with the L.A. County Board of Supervisors. Crews from Orange, Ventura, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara counties all pitching in now, as well as teams from neighboring states. The good news, the winds are calming. The warnings are being lifted. The fight then to contain these fires, extinguish them, and then rebuild. Jim Roope, Los Angeles.
Donald Trump's legal team has filed an emergency appeal with the U.S. Supreme Court in an effort to delay the sentencing in his New York case, which is scheduled for tomorrow. Correspondent Julie Walker reports the filing comes one day after Justice Samuel Alito spoke to the president-elect on the phone to support a former law clerk for a job in the administration.
Donald Trump is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to halt proceedings in his New York criminal hush money case, including a Friday sentencing, as the president-elect challenges the verdict. George Mason University law professor Ilya Soman.
I think probably it will not succeed.
He says whether it succeeds or not, the judge has signaled he won't inflict any actual penalty on Trump.
This is about, sort of this a kind of symbolic issue of Trump would continue to be a convicted felon.
The Supreme Court gave Manhattan prosecutors, which brought the hush money case against Trump, until Thursday to file. The president-elect continues to say the case is politically motivated. Julie Walker, New York.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. Sleep better together. It's the lowest price of the season on the top-selling Sleep Number i8 smart bed, limited time, exclusively at a Sleep Number store. Greenland, the Gulf of America, the Panama Canal. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. Plenty of active weather around the nation today. With the forecast, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Brian Thompson.
While the Santa Ana winds are not as strong as they were at times over the past 48 hours, we're still going to be dealing with some gusty winds today across the LA basin, and that's not going to be helping firefighting efforts. Also could lead to additional fires developing. The fire risk remains dangerously high today, as winds will still be gusting to 30 to 50 miles per hour. Not those widespread hurricane force gusts we were seeing at times earlier, but again, still gusty enough to hamper firefighting efforts across that area, and that will continue not just through today but into early tomorrow, and then things should relax a little bit more as we head into the weekend. Now, outside of that, things are going to be pretty quiet across much of the west today. A lot of sunshine up and down the west coast. As you get farther east, though, there's a developing storm system along the Gulf Coast, and there's a lot of cold air getting pulled pretty far south through the plains, so we'll see some snow across much of northern Texas today along the Red River Valley, Oklahoma, much of Arkansas too, seeing that snow arrive later in the day, and there will be a stripe of 6 to 10 inches of snow along the Red River Valley over into Little Rock, and 3 to 6 inches of snow and sleet expected toward Dallas, a cold rain toward Austin, San Antonio, and Houston as we head throughout this Thursday. There will be some snow in the northern plains, still cold through the Great Lakes and Northeast, and pretty windy through the Northeast again for today, and it's going to be pretty chilly through much of the Southeast too in advance of that storm approaching. High temperatures only in the mid-50s in Central Florida today. And that's the weather across America. In New Orleans today, becoming cloudy, brisk, and chilly. Rain arrives late in the day, high 49. In San Francisco, plenty of sunshine, kind of mild, with a high of 63. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. Global reaction to President-elect Donald Trump's recent comments surrounding Greenland, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Panama Canal. Here's correspondent Clayton Neville with more.
President-elect Trump is not ruling out using military or economic force to make Greenland part of the United States and to take control of the Panama Canal. He hasn't announced any specific plans to do either, but has entertained the possibilities. House Minority Leader Congressman Hakeem Jeffries told reporters this week that Trump should focus more on issues on American soil.
The problem is not Greenland. The problem is not the Gulf of Mexico and the need to rename it. And the problem is not the Panama Canal. It's making sure that the American dream is brought to life for everyone in this nation.
Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., posted a video with Charlie Kirk on a plane leaving Greenland this week.
Love America here. They love America. They love Trump. They want to utilize their resources. Danish fake news has been doing a lot of anti-American sentiment, so that shouldn't surprise us, but let's go have some fun.
Trump Jr. expanded on his time there with Fox's Hannity.
So many of these young kids coming up and telling us on a daily basis, when we go to Denmark, we're treated like second and third class citizens. They tell us to go home. There seems to be quite a bit of racism there. They just want to live their best life, just like we want to live ours in America and utilize the resources that we have in the ground.
Global leaders now responding to Trump's comments. The French foreign minister said that it's out of the question that the European Union would let any nation attack another country's sovereign borders. The German chancellor called it a fundamental principle of law that borders must not be moved by force. Now, Trump says Greenland is vital to America's national security, claiming that Russian and Chinese warships are all over the place in that region. Greenland's prime minister, though, says his country's not for sale. I'm Clayton Neville.
The ex-FBI informant who was found guilty of fabricating a bribery story about President Biden and his son Hunter will be heading to prison. A judge sentenced Alexander Smirnov to 6 years in jail. It was Smirnov who claimed to the FBI in 2020 that Joe Biden and his son Hunter accepted millions of dollars in bribes from a Ukrainian oligarch tied to Burisma, a statement later found to be untrue. Smirnov has pleaded guilty to making the false statements and also to evading paying taxes on more than $2 million in unreported income from 2020 to 2022. Banking on tariffs when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Thanks for listening. You're with America in the Morning, and today's business report brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments takes a disciplined approach with investing, helping clients navigate volatile markets. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Markets are closed today. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Stocks are coming off a mixed and roller coaster day yesterday. The Dow was up 100 points. Wall Street next opens tomorrow after the funeral and National Day of Mourning for former President Jimmy Carter today. It's tradition for the stock markets to be closed on a National Day of Mourning. The bond market will close early. And stocks are all about bonds right now. Bond yields are higher. That's been pushing the markets lower.
It's a problem because what has happened now is the equity to bond correlation has turned negative. You're being held hostage by what happens with Treasury yields.
Virtus Investments' Joe Terranova on CNBC. Fed officials in their most recent meeting last month, the minutes are out and they indicated they'll move slowly on interest rate cuts this year because they're worried about the inflation impacts from incoming President Trump's policies. These include tariffs that could raise prices for consumers and mass deportations of immigrants, which can hurt businesses from agriculture to construction to home health care. And Wall Street's been on edge about that.
The outlook for fiscal policy, on the one hand, it's very buoyant when it comes to things like tax cuts and deregulation. On the other hand, when it comes to trade and immigration, and look, the idea that the president would not rule out military action against 3 allies, and that went along with a pop in interest rates. I don't know if that's directly related, but we want to make sure we don't normalize apparent insanity here.
CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman. Requisites Bryn Talkington tells CNBC that all of this presents opportunities.
We've got lots of unknowns from the new administration that seem on the surface to be inflationary, but let's just see what will happen. I think if we get rates continue to move higher, I think it's going to be a great opportunity to buy the dip.
A slower pace of private sector hiring in December. Payroll firm ADP says 122,000 new private sector jobs were created.
This December report definitely represents a downshift from what we saw earlier in the quarter, but it's still a solid number. Pockets of weakness are something to watch. Manufacturing shed jobs for 3 consecutive months. That's concerning. What's doing the heavy lifting in services is no longer leisure and hospitality. We think that game is over. It's really healthcare.
ADP economist Neela Richardson on CNBC. The government's big December jobs report will be out tomorrow morning. Girl Scout cookie season is here. This will be the final year for s'mores and toastier flavors. Girl Scouts selling the cookies can earn badges for business and financial literacy. On today's watch list, the markets are closed to honor former President Jimmy Carter on this National Day of Mourning.
Flags remain at half-staff around the nation. Thank you, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. DOJ to release the Donald Trump file when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. The Department of Justice says it plans on releasing part, not all, of the special counsel's report on Donald Trump. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
A federal appeals panel is considering a defense request to block the 2-volume report's release, while charges remain pending against 2 Trump co-defendants in the case accusing him of illegally holding classified documents. In a court filing, the Justice Department says it will keep that part of the record out of public view for now, but it will release Smith's findings on Trump's efforts to undo the 2020 election results.
DeRay Jack Smith.
Trump yesterday argued Smith should not be allowed to release anything.
Why should he be allowed to write a fake report?
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The state of Virginia gavelled in a new government, but then adjourned because they couldn't do anything else. The failure of a water treatment plant in Richmond that was knocked offline from last Sunday's storms is not expected to be operational until tomorrow. A citywide boil water advisory has been in effect in Richmond since Monday. Residents have taken to social media saying they're melting snow just to flush their toilets. The Virginia National Guard has been called in to help get water trucks to parts of the city and to hospitals. The water outage has forced the closure of all schools in the Virginia state capital, and Governor Glenn Youngkin had to cancel his annual State of the Commonwealth address until next week. America in the Morning for Thursday, January 9th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
The Pacific Palisades fire is the most destructive in Los Angeles history. I'm Haya Panjwani.
A national day of mourning as America says goodbye to a former president. I'm Clayton Neville.
President Biden's potentially last interview while in office. We'll tell you what he said. European leaders speak out about Donald Trump's plans for Greenland and what Mexico's president wants to rename the U.S.
More Senate Democrats say they'll vote to advance the Lincoln Riley Act after it was passed by the House. I'm Sue Aller.
The wildfires in Los Angeles are having an impact on Hollywood. I'm Kevin Carr.
And 2 problems for JetBlue in as many days. Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. AccuWeather.com meteorologist Brian Thompson has the update on wintry weather forecast for the South. Here's the latest.
A major winter storm is taking shape over the southern plains. That's going to spread eastward through the Tennessee Valley as we head through tonight and into tomorrow. We're going to be seeing some pretty impressive snowfall totals from North Texas around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, expecting about 3 to 6 inches of snow, 6 to 10 inches of snow expected toward the Red River Valley, and that's going to extend eastward toward Little Rock as we head into tonight and into tomorrow. Now, there will be some ice as well, some sleet, some freezing rain across parts of northeastern Texas, and there could be some fairly significant icing in northwestern parts of Louisiana, near and north of Shreveport, around Texarkana, and then as you extend farther east, this ice is eventually going to translate over into northern Mississippi, northern parts of Alabama as well, where there could be some snow mixed in too. But again, some dangerous travel expected across the southern plains, and eventually this is going to head eastward, places like Nashville and over toward Atlanta. There could be a messy wintry mix developing as well. Elsewhere across the country, Santa Ana winds still a big problem in Southern California. We're still going to see some gusts 30 to 50 miles per hour today, but not the widespread hurricane force gusts we were seeing earlier. Outside of that, pretty quiet across the west today, and still pretty cold and windy across the northeast. We'll still see some wind gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour from Boston down to Philadelphia, some lake effect snow showers in some interior parts of the northeast today, but things in general starting to wind down. Pretty dry through the Great Lakes and through the Tennessee Valley and out ahead of that winter storm, and it will be dry but chilly across most of the southeast today. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Brian Thompson.
I'm John Trout. Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. In addition to over a dozen southern states preparing for a winter weather wallop, The death toll continues to rise in the West, where people are evacuating by the tens of thousands as a series of wildfires, the largest ever in Los Angeles history, fueled by Santa Ana winds, are devastating areas around the nation's second largest city. As correspondent Panjuani reports, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is taking heat for being in Africa as the wildfires have been burning, and is now under fire for not answering questions from a British Sky News reporter when she arrived at the Los Angeles airport.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster?
Multiple massive wildfires are tearing across the Los Angeles area with devastating force. It's destroying more than 1,000 structures. At least 4 separate blazes were burning in the metropolitan area, from the Pacific Coast inland to Pasadena, home of the famed Rose Parade. Los Angeles Fire Chief Anthony Maroney says thousands of acres have burned.
The Palisades Fire is located in both LA City and LA County. We are in unified command with the City of Los Angeles Fire Department, in addition to CAL FIRE. The fire is growing. We have no percentage of containment. We have an estimated 1,000 structures destroyed and a high number of significant injuries to residents who did not evacuate.
News conference audio courtesy of ABC7. At least 70,000 people are under evacuation orders.
High winds. I've never seen the winds in my 25-year career. So we lean forward as much as possible and pre-deployed. With that, we had a significant amount of fire that occurred. It's an active firefight with our firefighters, and they're doing their very best to protect our people within this area.
The Pacific Palisades fire is the most destructive in Los Angeles history. Fierce wildfires are raging in the Los Angeles area, fueled by powerful Santa Ana winds. Residents are fleeing from burning homes through flames, ferocious winds, and towering clouds of smoke. Actor Steve Guttenberg told Sky News what evacuations looked like in Manhattan Beach.
There were people in wheelchairs trying to get out who didn't have time to put their footrests on. And we had to figure out how to pop a wheelie with these wheelchairs. There were little kids. There were mothers trying to find their kids. There were anxiety, panic attacks. It's terrible.
Thousands of firefighters were battling at least 3 separate blazes. I'm Panjuani.
Regrets? He had a few. President Biden discussed both his legacy and what he could have handled better in a wide-ranging interview he gave to USA Today. In the exit interview about policy, politics, and family, the president also said he hasn't decided whether to take one more momentous action before he leaves office in 2 weeks, which could include preemptive pardons, something that only 3 presidents have done before. When asked if he should have stayed in the race and if he could have defeated Donald Trump, Biden said he believes he could have, but followed that by saying he wasn't sure if he would have been able to serve the full 4-year term. Again, this from USA Today with President Biden, who's held very few news conferences and individual sessions with reporters. America says goodbye to its 39th president on this National Day of Mourning for Jimmy Carter. Our correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Today is a national day of mourning as America remembers the life and accomplishments of President Jimmy Carter, who served as America's commander-in-chief from 1977 to 1981.
Our vast economic and military strength give us a special responsibility for seeking solutions to the problems that confront the world.
Carter honored this week by lawmakers like Vice President Kamala Harris.
Through his unshakable belief in the power of American diplomacy, he secured the Camp David Accords, one of the most significant and durable peace treaties since World War II.
Today, a national funeral service will be held at the Washington National Cathedral for Carter before he's taken back to Plains, Georgia for a private funeral service. Carter will be buried in Georgia with his wife, who died in 2023. The 39th president also praised for what he did after the presidency with groups like Habitat for Humanity. Senator John Thune.
The longest post-presidency of any American president ever, he focused on making the lives of his fellow men better.
President Biden ordered flags across the United States to be flown at half-staff today, and because today is a federal holiday, federal offices are closed. So is the U.S. Stock Exchange. Mail won't be delivered today. Most banks, though, are staying open. I'm Clayton Neville.
President Biden will be giving a eulogy at Jimmy Carter's funeral. Former Presidents Clinton, Bush, and Obama, along with President-elect Donald Trump, will be in attendance at the Washington National Cathedral today. Buying Greenland. European leaders react when America in the Morning continues after these messages. I'm John Trout. This is America in the Morning. The response was cautious but pointed abroad from European leaders as they react to President-elect Donald Trump's comments on the U.S. buying or taking control of Greenland, which is a territory of Denmark. Correspondent Karen Shamas reports.
European leaders have reacted to President-elect Donald Trump's comments that he would not rule out the use of military force to seize control of Greenland. Greenland is an autonomous territory of Denmark, which is a member of NATO and the European Union, and is also a long-time US ally. In a news conference, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said that the principle of inviolability of borders applies to every country, however powerful. Scholz also suggested that the expansionist comments by US President-elect Donald Trump are meeting with incomprehension among European leaders. Meanwhile, in Brussels, EU Commission spokesperson Anita Hipper said,
"Just as a matter of principle, for us it is clear the sovereignty of states has to be respected."
Trump declared US control of both Greenland and the Panama Canal to be vital to American national security. I'm Karen Shamas.
Mexico's president has issued a seemingly sarcastic response to President-elect Donald Trump's proposal to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico. Details from correspondent Donna Warder.
We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has responded to President-elect Donald Trump's suggestion to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And it was a sarcastic response as she stood before a global map during Wednesday's press briefing.
Obviamente, el Golfo de México es
Obviously, the Gulf of Mexico's name is recognized by the United Nations, by a United Nations agency. But why don't we call it Mexican America? Sounds nice, doesn't it? And Sheinbaum noted that the Gulf of Mexico has been called the Gulf of Mexico since 1607. It's unclear if Sheinbaum will be able to build the same relationship with Trump as did her predecessor, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, who was considered an ally. I'm Donna Warder.
The Laken-Riley Act, the first piece of legislation taken up by the House of Representatives in the 119th Congress, was passed and now heads to the Senate. Sue Aller reports that a number of Democrats are joining efforts to pass the bill and avoid a filibuster.
The House has passed the Laken-Riley Act. The legislation was named after the Georgia nursing student who was killed by a migrant who was in the country illegally and had been arrested prior to the murder. The bill passed with full support from Republicans and 48 Democrats and now heads to the Senate this coming Friday. Republicans need 7 more Democratic votes for it to pass. The bill is gaining traction among some Democrats, including Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. Laken Riley's murder became a rallying cry for Republicans during the 2024 presidential campaign, as President-elect Donald Trump brought up the case repeatedly as he called for better border security. Fox News asked Pennsylvania Democrat John Fetterman, who supports the bill, if immigration was one of the reasons the Democrats lost the presidential election.
And if we can't pull up with 7 votes, if we can't get at least 7 out of 47, and if we can't, then that's the reason why we lost.
The bill requires U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to detain illegal migrants if they are charged with theft or other crimes. I'm Sue Aller.
Despite the fact that President-elect Trump has promised he would pardon many of those who participated in the January 6th, 2021 riot, correspondent Mike Hempen reports a former police officer who stormed the Capitol will spend time behind bars.
Court records show Nathaniel Tuck has been sentenced to 14 months in prison for joining fellow members of the far-right Proud Boys extremist group in the attack by a mob of Donald Trump supporters. Tuck pushed past police officers to enter the Capitol and berated officers who were trying to hold off the crowd. He later posed with other Proud Boy members for a celebratory photograph outside the Capitol. From 2012 to 2020, Tuck served as a police officer in Florida. Prosecutors say he joined the Proud Boys in 2018. Mike Hempen, Washington.
With NFL and more, here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman with a check of Thursday sports.
The Cavaliers tripped the Thunder 129-122 last night in a battle of the NBA's best. It extends Cleveland's winning streak to 11 games and ends OKC's run at 15 consecutive wins. The Cavs doing it with Donovan Mitchell having an off night. He was just 3 of 16 shooting. His teammates, however, shot nearly 60% from the floor to pick him up. The Cavs lead the association with a record of 32-4. They're 11-0 against the West and 19-1 at home. Elsewhere, the Pistons cut down the Nets 113-98 for their 5th straight win. Detroit owns a winning record this far into the season for the first time in 7 years. Wins for the Blazers, Bucks, Pacers, Sixers, Nuggets, and Knicks. College basketball, number 5 Alabama handled South Carolina. 9th-ranked Connecticut took it on the chin, losing at Villanova. And number 10 Texas A&M picked up a big road win at number 17 Oklahoma. The college football playoff semifinals begin tonight at the Orange Bowl. Notre Dame versus Penn State. Much respect between coaches James Franklin and Marcus Freeman.
Honored to compete against Marcus and his Notre Dame football team. Got a ton of respect for Marcus, have followed his career for a long time.
As Coach Franklin said, I have a lot of respect for him and the job he's done in college football and this football team.
Tomorrow we get the Cotton Bowl, Texas against Ohio State, the title game a week from Monday in Atlanta. NFL wildcard weekend begins on Saturday with 2 AFC games, then 3 games on Sunday. Monday night, the Vikings and the Rams are scheduled to meet. The NFL is prepared to move that game to Arizona, however, if the wildfire situation in Southern California dictates. NHL, the Capitals clipped the Canucks 2-1 in overtime. Pierre-Luc Dubois with both DC goals. Washington has the best record in the East. Blackhawks beat the Avalanche. Panthers got 3 in the third to top Utah. The scheduled game between the Flames and the Kings in Los Angeles was postponed due to the wildfire situation. That's Thursday Sports.
Thank you, sir. Turbulence on the ground and in the air for this airline when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. Many hardworking people have lost everything in the wildfires in the Los Angeles area. The destruction also taking aim at the multi-million-dollar mansions of Hollywood celebrities, with some seeing their homes disintegrate from the infernos. Kevin Carr reports.
Wildfires powered by strong Santa Ana winds are having a devastating impact on everyone in the affected areas, including household names. Stars like Mark Hamill, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Ben Affleck had to flee their homes. On Instagram, Hamill said this was the, quote, most horrific fire since '93. Actor Steve Guttenberg took to the streets to help firefighters and volunteers. On Tuesday, he told Fox News he saw this as a responsibility of a good community.
We're not one street, one town, one city, one country. We're one community. We're all people. So we all need each other. We need to help each other. And that's what I'm trying to do. We're trying to help people any way I can because I'm able-bodied.
Other celebrities like Jennifer Love Hewitt, Mandy Moore, and Whitney Cummings posted social media images of their neighborhood's destruction. Actor James Woods broke down in tears during an interview with CNN about the loss of his home.
Just, one day you're swimming in the pool, and the next day it's all gone.
Other celebrities who have lost homes in the blaze include Adam Brody, Leighton Meester, Spencer Pratt, Anna Faris, Cameron Matheson, and Diane Warren. The fires have put Hollywood in a standstill. Some studios reduced LA production and stopped it altogether, while various award events were scrapped. Premieres of Unstoppable, Wolfman, and The Last Showgirl were canceled. The AFI Awards luncheon and BAFTA's Tea Party were shelved, while the Critics' Choice Awards, originally scheduled for Sunday in Santa Monica, were postponed 2 weeks to January 26th. I'm Kevin Carr.
It's been an unusual 48 hours for JetBlue Airlines, with 2 incidents in 2 days that has authorities from Boston to Florida investigating. Following the story, Correspondent Julie Walker.
Someone on a JetBlue flight taking off from Boston's Logan Airport Tuesday suddenly opened an exit door and was quickly restrained by other passengers.
Tower JetBlue 161, we've got a report. Leo on board has a customer subdued with cuffs on him on the floor. We're going to taxi back to gate 34.
JetBlue 161, so just verifying that the passenger is subdued.
Affirmative.
The pilot's conversation with air traffic control caught on live ATC.
Yeah, Tower, go ahead, JetBlue 161.
Just confirming that no one has left the aircraft.
That's affirmed. No one has left the aircraft. They've got him subdued in the back, just the slide has deployed.
Thanks.
Monday night, 2 bodies were found in the wheel well of a JetBlue plane landing at Fort Lauderdale Airport. Broadcastify picking up a police dispatch of that incident.
Terminal 3, Gate Foxtrot 5 at JetBlue. Ian from JetBlue is advising the gate technician in the landing gear area. Noticed 2 males who appear to be Signal 7. As they are not moving in the landing gear area.
The plane was traveling from JFK but had also been in Jamaica and Salt Lake City, according to FlightAware tracking. A Jamaican official says there's no immediate basis on which to conclude they are Jamaicans. However, their identities are still unknown.
The Broward County Medical Examiner's Office will perform autopsies on the 2 deceased individuals to determine the cause and manner of their deaths. I can share that the 2 individuals are believed to be males. Beyond that, their identities at this point are unknown.
I'm Julie Walker.
America in the Morning for Thursday, January 9th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.